One Punch Man Chapter 115 Redraw. Saitama fights Orochi yet again, and Murata has retconned a lot of the story. We get some more information about God and some mysteries, and Saitama has a brand new serious series move, Serious Squirt Gun. Hi guys, I'm Mastar. If you enjoy anime and One Punch Man content, please make sure you subscribe with those notifications enabled. And leave a thumbs up while you're at it. Starting off with the cover page, we get Mizuki in honor of the Olympic Games. That's kind of her whole deal, and I guess it's pretty cool that Murata threw that in there during the Olympic Games going on, which are being hosted in Tokyo, Japan. I wonder if he's had the time to go see any of that. Probably not, because this dude just draws 16 hours a day. Now during this battle with Saitama, Orochi looks at Saitama and he's like, what is this power emanating from this man, this mysterious pressure going on? And so somehow Orochi is able to somehow feel and sense Saitama's power just from looking at him. And Orochi realizes that the shock from earlier was actually Saitama when he punched Rover, and he realizes that Saitama is actually the ghost town horror who took out Elder Centipede and Goketsu. And he starts to laugh, and his mouth opens up, he's laughing, he's very excited, as we'll explain in just a few minutes, because he feels that Saitama is this worthy sacrifice that he's been waiting for. And he takes off his mask, which I don't really like, because I think he looked awesome with the mask on. He just looked so powerful and everything. I mean, it always kind of did look like a mask, but he could transform his body pretty much however and whenever he wanted in the previous fights. And now his face is just this octopus tentacle thing. I mean, and they really messed with his personality as well. He's almost this just goofy character now, whereas he was much more serious and powerful, especially when he was fighting Garo and when he fought Saitama previously. So in this chapter, we get this just kind of silly Orochi, which I don't really know why, what the point was of all these changes, and I'm a little bit worried about it, because especially once we get to the end of this chapter in the review, I'll explain how this could mean we're in for a ton of redraws in the future, which I don't know why. I know he's doing it for the sake of the continuity of the series and everything. He wants to get the story to flow better or something, but fans just want to see what's going to happen with Garo versus Saitama. We've been waiting for this, and I'm really worried we're going to get a ton of redraws coming up. Orochi takes Saitama down into the depths, where we have that pyramid where we saw in chapter 139 when Tatsumaki used the entire monster association and turned into a big spear and pinned down Orochi down in here. We saw this pyramid with these strange markings on it. Now they must be somewhere deep in the earth. I'm not sure if this is lava or just super hot water, because they're deep near the earth. Saitama actually ends up bathing in it. I mean, he could probably bathe in lava, I guess. He calls it Orochi's bathtub, and Orochi's what insolence. He says not even my parent knows of this place. So when he says my parent, I'm thinking at first I was is he talking about God? Is he talking about Psychos? Or is he talking about Giro? I don't know who exactly he was referring to when he says my parent doesn't know this place, but pretty much nobody knows this place except for Orochi and possibly Blast, maybe. And then we get to see Orochi's new true form, and he's kind of this giant centipede sort of thing. I mean, this looks pretty cool though. I mean, I really love this art shot. I mean, God, it's amazing. There's just so much depth in this. But I really liked his previous form when he was fighting Saitama and Garo and everything. I just felt it was much more terrifying. I mean, this one's kind of scary in its own right, I guess. But yeah, he's more of a centipede snake sort of thing now, instead of just this giant brute dragon, I guess. And he explains to Saitama, he's telling Saitama all of this stuff, just classic anime fashion. Let me tell you my entire life history and why I'm doing what I'm doing, and every little detail you need to know before I kill you, so that you can kill me and leave with all that information. So he says that under Giro's control, he was selected to be the strongest and put through extensive fusion experiments, battle testing, leading to unconventional growth into a monster. And this is exactly how Garo has achieved the same levels of power, how he's transformed and everything as well. Garo essentially is the new monster king since Orochi is gone, or so we think. I don't think he's going to come back anymore. But with this whole ritual sacrifice thing, maybe we're gonna see him a little more actually in the upcoming chapters. I'll talk about that when we get through this. But before long, the sacrifices weren't enough. He wasn't really growing or getting stronger anymore, so instinctually he just dug down into the earth, like searching for more power, and that's when he stumbled upon this pyramid with the markings, and somehow he was able to read it like instinctually, somehow like something pulled him down there, and it turns out that I believe it's because of the monster god. So on this mural in the pyramid with this like kind of ritualistic sacrifice bowl thing, it shows Orochi as a creature that looks just like him, and then all of these sacrifices being given to him. He reads this mural and it says, "Crossing the vast expanse of time, our God shall resurrect on this earth. When on this altar a worthy sacrifice is offered." So he believes that if he's able to sacrifice Saitama, a worthy sacrifice, he will ascend and become a god. But what we find out is that no, you will awaken the monster god. And it appears that they're setting this up for the final arc of One Punch Man. So Orochi thinks that he was destined to become a god, but it turns out that he is actually the sacrifice that's needed in order to awaken God. And it's really interesting what happens here in the final few pages. But he says that, while he's searching for the sacrifice, he's putting up this like obedient front for Psychos and Giro Giro, but it was all just a sham. He was just waiting for the sacrifice, he'd become a god, and then he would rule the earth and everything like that. And meanwhile, while he's talking about all this stuff, Saitama is slowly taking a bath in a pool of hot lava, which is hysterical. And I mean, this is more, I do kind of get like the comedy and like, Orochi feels more of like a One Punch Man character now from this chapter. The whole way the dialogue is going on, it's like the Sea King explaining everything, when Saitama is just like, twisting his ear in the rain and not listening to it. So Saitama is just like playing in this lava or hot spring or whatever it is, and it turns out that Orochi uses some crazy attack here where he sticks his tail into this like hot lava or water, whatever it is, and he like siphons energy from the Earth's core. And it's so much so that it like raises the entire city as all the volcanoes explode on Earth. It's like just some insane nuclear laser beam that he shoots out at Saitama. And Saitama, who is playing with the water, like shoots it back with serious squirt gun. And we get like this like beam struggle go on from like DBZ or something like that, and this beam, like this blast of water that Saitama shot out, is like literally stronger than this just like earth destroying attack that Orochi shot at him. So it's kind of is pretty ridiculous. I mean, just increasing Saitama's feats even more, that's pretty wild, man. If he really does a serious series anything, I mean, it's like there's like no limits to this guy. And then he jumps up and punches a huge hole through Orochi. Fantastic art here. So after that whole attack, the underground cave starts to like crumble and everything, and we see here that wasn't the entire mural. Hidden behind the rocks on top of the mural which are crumbling down, is actually God. And so all those sacrifices, I guess, meant to feed Orochi, who was supposed to be like the big sacrifices needed in order to resurrect God. And you can see Orochi like kind of crawling up like right onto the sacrificial bowl. And so does this mean God is going to resurrect? Does this have to do with the dark cubes that Blast is going around collecting? Is that also a way for God to siphon power or become resurrected? So a lot of questions here. This is like very, very different than what has been laid out. And this is why I'm a little worried, because also now how is Psychos gonna fuse with the Orochi? Like, he's so deep underground. Like, she saw his cells like up there in the main part of the Monster Association before. How is she, like, they're gonna have to rewrite like all the chapters like leading up to Psychos fusing with Orochi or something like that. So I hope not. I really hope not. I hope maybe he can do one more redraw and answer a lot of these questions so we don't get like 20 more redraws and just put off Garo vs. Saitama for like a year or something like that. I don't think that this was needed. I mean, I kind of like this. I love the implications with God and like, basically he's going to be resurrected now, like for sure. I love how like the entire time Orochi thought that like this mural was like telling him his destiny was to become a god, but he wasn't seeing the full picture. And when it crumbled down, he realized, oh, I was just a sacrifice along the way. So yeah, I mean, we lost like a lot of the great action that we got from the previous Saitama versus Orochi fight, which is very peculiar. Like, I thought that fight was pretty good. I would like to see more attacks from Orochi, like see more of him actually combating Saitama, but of course, both times he just died in one punch. Actually, before, he didn't die in one punch. One of Saitama's like little flurries attacks like blew off like a bunch of his arms as like dragons, but I guess he survived that. So this time he seemed like nerfed, like he just seemed even weaker. I mean, granted, his attack was like absolutely insane, drawing the power from the earth and like everything it did, but yeah, Saitama just like squirted water at him and pretty much won. So, but the implications of this chapter are that God should be resurrecting because Orochi was laying on that sacrificial bowl, the ritual bowl, and like I don't know if he's gonna die there, or is he the sacrifice, or maybe after Tatsumaki uses that monster association spear and sent him down there, he like crawls up into the bowl and dies or something, and then like, but that would mean that God should resurrect, but it's not happening in the webcomic, so maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, maybe he needs the sacrifice, but he also needs the cubes in order to fully bring himself to reality or something like that. They're going to have to do some explaining, but I hope they don't just like retcon the cubes too, because I like that whole aspect with Blast and everything like that. I'm just really hoping that with all these retcons, he doesn't have to rewrite like a million chapters, but we'll see. I don't think this was needed. It was cool. It was appreciated, but I don't think this was necessary, and I think this is just a huge setback. But we'll see what Murata has planned. I mean, I'll reserve my judgments. Maybe he'll come up with something cooler. We'll see. All right, guys, I'm Mastar, and I'll talk to you guys on the next video. Peace.